Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I am Faith Suggs, Duke Basketball graduate, and this is my wonderful father, Shafer Suggs, former NFL player and New York Jets and Cincinnati Bengals player. Shafer Suggs. Dad, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Faith. Beautiful day here in Chicago. Nice, crispy day. Everything opening up here. Restaurants are opening up. Health spas are opening up. We're moving.
You said today was crispy.
Crispy. Yeah, it's not.
You don't see why I laugh at Devin's face. Devin, we have a wonderful today. Devin Suggs, the third to our trio, is in the backstage in the green room right now making faces at his father.
Yeah. So so Dad don't have a chance today. So I'm just gonna roll with it.
How was your Father's Day weekend?
It was a wonderful Father's Day weekend. It was nice. Devin and I got a chance to go fishing and catch some fish. Caught a couple of very mean catfish, but it was a great day, beautiful day. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the gifts I received from my kids. It was really nice.
No, and I hope everyone had a great Father's Day weekend as well. We welcome you all back to F3. Welcome back to our F3 family. We hope everyone enjoyed the rerun on Monday. We thought that since it was Father's Day weekend, we designate the Monday of the weekend following to hashtag Girl Dad. This is our first official episode 1 of F3 Faith Family Focus. We got a lot of wonderful feedback and people loved it, so we were glad. We will try to do that more often where we rerun any shows that you guys have missed or want to see in the future. Please let us know. Feel free to shoot us a wave for anybody who is new. Welcome. We are happy you're here with us this Wednesday morning. Our goal is to use our stories and our faith to strengthen the family core of our viewers and those around us. So for those of you tuning in, we appreciate you and we see you. We hope everyone has their Suggs mugs. Feel free to shoot us a comment or a wave if you have your Suggs mug this morning. We have the update on that as I pull up the photo of our wonderful Suggs mugs. They look nice there. They look
Right. And they will be available to place orders over the weekend. They are actually here.
Yep, and that brings us to our website. They'll be on the website this weekend. For those of you who don't know the website, it is faithfamilyfocus.net. Feel free to visit us. We have all the shows, we have blogs, we have the bios, we have who we are, as well as links to our Facebook page, where we can put most of our action, as well as our YouTube page with every single video we have. We have an awesome thing that we have going on, which is the free Suggs mug with the best question. Oh, I see people trickling in here.
They are trickling in.
Good
Tracy. And you will get one of those Suggs mugs.
All right, everybody. Well, Dad, I'm glad you had a wonderful happy weekend. I'm glad that most of our viewers and those of you who have fathers on earth and fathers in heaven, we're thinking about you. The F3 family has you in our hearts. Some few announcements before we get into this awesome show. Website is up. We saw that the mugs will be up there this weekend. Hopefully, we're excited for it. We hope everyone enjoyed the hashtag Girl Dad rerun. So today's a special show for us. But before we dive in, we have an awesome guest, Devin Suggs, the third to our group, the trio. We are so excited to have him. He's going to be here on Friday. He doesn't know that he'll be here Friday, but he will be. We have today, he's going to give us input on the student athlete and recruit version of what's going on with sports in our pandemic. And he'll be back after this quick break. So everyone sit back, get comfortable, and we'll be back after this quick little commercial. Devin. Shafer
Devin.
Suggs.
Good morning.
How are you doing? I like your Yale hoodie. You wear it every time you're on the show.
Yeah, every time.
It's funny because before he was like, "Do I wear this hoodie every time?" And I was like, "Yeah." And we told him to go change, and he didn't. So I guess that's adolescence for you. Devin, how are you doing? Did you enjoy the Father's Day weekend with your dad and all the what? Tell us what you got him for Father's Day.
I got him this little package of, balloons and chocolates and letters and all that good stuff. So,
I
yeah.
just remember he called me and he was like, "Gosh, why is this stuff so expensive?" But Devin, we're glad you joined us today. We're excited for the show. What's new with you, real quick, before we dive into anything? Any cool updates? What's going on? What have you been doing with your free time?
Just trying to stay busy, working out. A lot of my time has gone to just getting myself ready for school. And when I have free time, I'll go fishing or do something, I don't normally do, just to, stay busy and pick up new hobbies.
Nice. Well, Devin, we're glad you're here, Dad. We're glad we're entering this new era. Today, we'll dive into some cool talk about what's going on in our world around sports right now. Certain
Right.
states are in phases 3 and 4, which is extremely scary. But the NBA, NFL, college athletics, and more. Let's hear about it. Devin Suggs, we're glad you're joining us today. Third piece to our F3 duo. Today's going to be fun. So let's dive right into it. College athletics. What is going on? What is the word? It's a major economic robot in our country, right? It impacts people all around the world, brings in billions of dollars each year, but how's it going to work? We have an awesome video, which we're going to share with you, to go over a little bit about what's going on.
Change this summer to the practice schedule is a 2-week period that's leading up to your typical 4-week preseason camp. And that 2-week period is 20 hours of countable work for the student athletes where coaches can watch them. They can do 1 hour of a walkthrough a day. They can't wear helmets. They can't wear pads. But this is basically a time for the coaches to evaluate how they are in terms of physical conditioning after being away for so long, and also their playbook knowledge. Brian Kelly at Notre Dame basically compared it to spring installation for them.
So they're trying to work their way back on a variety of different ways. Now, I've been waiting to get someone on that can ask this question because I've been reading about players at a variety of schools having to sign what I've heard described as a pledge, but in some cases I've heard it described as a waiver. What exactly are those?
Ohio State Athletic Director Gene Smith told me it is a pledge because he said it's not considered in their eyes to be a legal document. He said the purpose of it is educational. And what they mean by that, Greenie, at Ohio State, where everybody, all the players sign this pledge, is because when they leave the athletic facilities, athletic directors, not just at Ohio State, but everywhere across the country, are concerned about student athletes continuing to follow CDC guidelines. At Ohio State, this is a pledge where they say, look, you sign your name, you promise that when you leave our athletic facilities, you are going to continue to social distance, to wear a mask, so that if one of our administrators sees you not following the rules, we can call you out on it. Say, look, you promised to do this, and if you don't, there could be consequences.
Okay, let's dive into it.
Right.
Devin, what's new with you? Let's talk football. How do you think football, in college football especially, is going to survive this summer in summer camp? And before you dive into that, can you explain to our viewers how important summer camp in this time period is to the game of college football?
Yeah, it's very important. This is when all the preparation starts. This is all the time you have to, get ready for the season, weightlifting, practices, playbook stuff, all that. And you need almost all of that time. You need this entire, June, July, August to prepare for when games start late August or for the Ivy League in early September. It's very crucial. It's a very crucial time period. And now that this is being impacted, you can't do as much as, previous years. it's very detrimental to every team. But I mean, it's not just one team. Everybody's got to go through it in their own, way. Ivy League's a lot different. I'm going back August 20th. Some schools have already gone back now for football. So it's every school's different. Every conference, everybody's different. So it's just a big adjustment that everybody needs to face and try to have a normal season out of it.
Right. And Devin, do you think, before we dive into anything else, do you think that some schools who are ahead of schedule or are already out on campuses have an advantage over schools, maybe Yale or other schools who are still taking the precautions and coming back in August?
You said which schools have an advantage?
Schools that are already on campus, Ohio State's, Kansas State's, big Power 5 institutions who have the money to do that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an advantage, but I mean, within those conferences, the other teams that are in those conferences are doing the same thing. It's not like just one. It's not like Ohio State's back and Michigan's not. It's every school in each conference they're taking it big groups at a time. It's not just one school. So I think that's at least one of the good things about it. The Ivy League goes back a little later. Why I'm not completely sure, but that's just how they decided to do it. Our season traditionally and historically does start later than the bigger Power 5 schools. So I mean, I think it's just interesting how the university itself will navigate and direct the athletic programs during these months.
What has been the word and the communication from the Yale program, Yale athletic program in general, to you as incoming freshmen on safety, guidelines, or anything like that?
As of yet, we have not, just because it's so far away, we haven't really received anything that detailed yet. Even our report date is not 100% set in stone. That's just the date we've been given for right now. But right now, only so many people know what's going on. So even our coaches, they're behind. They don't know everything that's going on. So they can't report everything to us. They can't let us know too much because they don't even know. No one really can predict how events will occur and how that will impact when and how we come. So
yeah, right. I think there's a couple of things that I was able to get from one of your assistant coaches is that because of Yale's proximity to New York and with the pandemic being had such an impact on New York, Yale's also a corona center. They're taking extra precaution. And as you well know, like Devin said, Yale does start a little bit later. And this is for Devin. Isn't it interesting now that you've been watching some of the big BCS teams coming back, but you also see a lot of corona cases, a lot of viruses being positively tested because they're going back so soon. What do you think the impact on that's going to have on the other programs for them? Because you see it in the news. I think Texas had about 10 to 12 players test positively. Again, a lot of these kids are going to school, but then they're going off campus and coming back and infecting. So what do you think how that's going to impact things going forward, Devin?
I think there's going to be some quarantine, like team quarantine actions put into place, so that the team is only with the team and everything is contained within the football program. I think stuff like that will be put into place. I don't think the cases of one program will, impact what another program does. But that depends on the correlation between the programs, but I think they'll definitely put in some team or like kind of like lockdown protocols or quarantine protocols to where you can't do stuff like that. You can't leave. You're only hanging out around the football team, and so that's really all they can do right now.
Right.
I'll just give my input, Devin, because you will see when you get there. As a former college player, but also now a college coach, in order to create mandatory rules for 19 to 23-year-olds, it's going to be very hard to keep them to follow the rules, regardless of. It's not really. And this is the biggest thing about the pandemic is it's not really about the young people, because young people, although have been passing away from the pandemic or getting sick, and they are most at threat for others and the ability to spread it because they don't know when they have it, or they're just kind of a little more reckless about it, right?
Right.
When these kids come on campus, my biggest fear is that not only are they traveling, right? So they're going to fly in, take the train, drive, where they'll come through certain states. We don't know where they're coming from. So that is when you mandate the 14-day quarantine, right? That'll make more sense, right? Stay in the house. However, if one kid gets it, he will be in the locker room with all these kids, coaches, training staff, nutrition staff, support staff. Like he's going. So I think that it's going to be hard for us to really keep it contained. But I think that at this point, there's nothing else we can do, if that makes sense, right? We'll see in a video later all the money that's being lost because of this for the NCAA and other sports is drastic. Millions and millions of dollars, over $100 million. But I think most importantly is a lot of these kids, and we talk about this all the time, and Dad, me and you didn't discuss it, but you all know where I'm going with this, is Devin, hear me out and let me know what you think about it. A lot of these kids come from places where the college campus is often like their opportunity to get better, their opportunity for a second chance, but also their opportunity to be safe, get clothed, food, like be able to be in a place where it's a safe space, right? Kids want to be on these campuses. Now, if they can't be on these campuses, that could cause a problem. You know what I mean? Right. Devin, what do you think about that?
I think it's really just up to. I mean, we don't have a vaccine yet. We don't have anything black and white that can 100%, fix the problem. You can't control, obviously, like you said, you can't control these kids and what they're going to do. The kids want to go there. They want to play sports. They want to have a good time. A lot of them think, they're young, they're healthy, that, it doesn't affect them. So, I mean, I just think we'll see it as it goes along, which is unfortunate to say, but I don't think no one can predict the behavior and how the virus is going to spread based on that behavior. So I think it's just one of those where they're going to try. I feel like, at the end of the day, the NCAA is not going to just give up that amount of, money to. They're at least going to give it a try. They're not just going to completely shut down. They're going to try. And, I guess we'll see as seasons progress, football season obviously being the first major season coming up. And I'm hopeful that it'll be, successful, be safe. But, you never know because, like you said, you don't know how the behavior of these athletes outside of the campuses are. So.
Yeah, like you're telling me these kids aren't going to want to go to Wendy's. These kids aren't going to, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's going to be extremely hard for us to be able to contain this. And I think that pushing for a vaccine, but also pushing for keeping these kids as isolated and these small communities as they can be, as much as you can, instilling small group stuff like that, trying to get them to understand the magnitude of their responsibility. But Devin, have you been in any contact with teammates that are going to different schools? If so, what are their programs doing to transition their players back for football?
Yeah, a couple of my friends from Bolingbrook are already there, and it seems like they're, business as usual. I haven't really talked to them in depth yet since they've left. But from what I've seen, it looks like they hit the ground running. They're going. So I don't I, I don't think much has changed there. But I feel like as time goes on, if cases grow, they'll definitely have to put something into place to contain that.
Right. And Dad, how do you think we can keep these coaches safe and support staff safe? Because at the end of the day, while the athlete's safety is always most important, these coaches have families, kids, other responsibilities. How do we keep them safe during all this?
Yeah. So I was actually thinking, because I knew where you were going with the question with Devin. Before I answer your question, I want to kind of touch back on what you were talking about, the impact on the level of comfort and security that these kids have around coming back to these campuses. Because a lot of them are creature of habit, and there's a level of discipline there. They're taking care of themselves while they're at school. There's a level of discipline. There's sleeping schedules. And to me, that's probably one of the impacts, especially kids that are been on campus last year now going back on campus, is probably really, really throwing them off. And as a parent, I'm trying to, and Devin and I have been working on trying to create some kind of schedule, because at some point in time he's going to get back to his schedule. But just the psychological aspect of it, it's got to be different. This is a topic that we can talk about, and I know we're going to touch on some other sports, but this is really, really difficult. And then, to touch on your question, that's a whole nother layer of concern is, the coaches. I mean, I know that you're going back, right? And I don't know how much direction you guys have received, but you're going back with hopefully some kind of plan on how you're going to bring the players on, and then also keep them safe, but simultaneously keep you, the coaches, safe. So it's a moving target. I think it's consistent with every sport. I mean, you think about the NBA going to the bubble, to WNBA. I think there was a girl that probably won't go because of her concern of safety. But you're right. There's got to be, I always use this term, crawl, walk, and run, as we progress into this unfold, because it's just seeing our society is really thirsting for sports, but we have a very serious virus out there. It's still, from the experts, we haven't even hit the second wave. So just kind of navigating it, it's just something. I think what Devin said, something was good. I think every school is located in a different geographical area. Okay. And you have to probably navigate it based off of that.
Right. My quick question, speed question for Devin. If football does not happen, if college football does not happen, do you think that winter sports and spring sports will not happen as well?
I don't think it's going to be a situation where like, oh, well, you guys didn't have a season, so I mean, now that doesn't mean we can have a season. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be based off how the virus is, whether it's fair or not. I mean, last year football and basketball got a season, and spring sports didn't get a season. So I mean, it's not really about like fairness and equality between the sports, whether they play or not. But I mean, I think it's just going to be based off how the virus is. I'm not gonna. I don't have a medical degree or anything like that, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I can predict how it's going to be at that time. But I think if it just depends on if the virus is still bad, if they found a vaccine or not. But I don't think they're going to say no to spring sports, or just because they said no to fall sports. I don't think it's going to be a situation like that.
Right. Dad, is this all worth it? Is putting these lives in jeopardy, but so we can funding and some sports to watch, is it worth it?
Well, it's definitely a different time in my lifetime. I've never experienced it. Obviously we have something else going on simultaneously with this, with crises. But, I always use that term, God, let this too shall pass. But right now we're in it. And I think it really comes down to leadership. Comes down to all the way across the board is the people, and I'm talking about as a parent, as a parent, just making the right decisions based on the right information. And it's up to us to really do our due diligence and really find out the information. Because for me, being over a certain age, Devin's going to go on a workout, and the certain questions I ask him is, okay, where's the workout going to be? Who's going to be at the workout? I'm not going to take this level of entitlement that we got to get back to doing this as normal. It's not normal right now.
Right.
Okay. I mean, this is very, very different. We have to take it serious, right? And as leaders, as coaches, as leaders of companies, we all have to really kind of deep down inside and find out. You ask, is it worth it? No, lives are not worth it, right? So I think as we navigate through this, we take the precautions. We take the necessary precautions to do it right. I mean, I was thinking about Yale. Going to the Yale Bowl holds almost 65,000 people. They probably get about 30,000. So social distancing shouldn't be very hard at Yale. So I can kind of, I'm hopeful that we'll be able to have fans in the stands. Now these kind of be spread out, but wow, yeah, that was a loaded question, Faith. I mean, again, it comes back to leadership, right? And go ahead.
Yeah, well, Devin, as a college student, obviously you want to play your freshman year of college football. Do you think let's talk about it. Is it really worth it? Can you see this happening?
Well, nothing's worth, the loss of a life. I mean, there's nothing. I just think now I can't really find anything that's worth that. But I mean, within a certain context, people say it's safe, it's okay, then the risk is at a point where it's like almost like it's so small to where it's not. I think then, you can play your sport, but if the risk is still very high, obviously it's not worth it.
Mm-hmm. Let's transition a little bit into our viewers, our family viewers. Let's talk preparation, how this impacts a lot of families around the country, right? Youth sports, recruiting, stuff like that is key to a lot of kids and sport families, right? Devin, how do kids stay active right now when they have no idea when their start date is?
I mean, the gyms are starting to open up. Weight rooms are starting to open up. I mean, the weather's nice. I think there's plenty of, opportunities. There's not too many, reasons not to be able to do what you need to do to get ready. Whether you need to make your own weights out of cement, fill a backpack full of rocks, like whatever you need to do. It's not, it's working out. I don't think it's too hard right now currently to get the work you need to get done.
And Devin, can you give us a little bit of what Devin Suggs is doing to stay in shape? Any advice for kids, like cool workouts they can try?
Right now I'm on a certain weight workout weekly schedule, and then I have a few days where I'm free, where I'll do running and throwing and stuff like that. I think some cool workouts you can try is just footwork drills, ladder drills, stuff like that. Stuff like that's always fun, especially when you're growing up. It's just fun things you can do with yourself. You can compete with yourself. You can challenge yourself. I think that's always fun. But yeah, stuff like that, I would say.
And how do you stay positive during this time? We're talking about our kids who are becoming juniors, becoming sophomores, who are all of a sudden now interested. Let's talk about basketball kids who are supposed to spend their entire summer getting recruited. How do we stay positive when your last opportunity is ruined by a pandemic?
Well, I don't think it. I think from what I've seen on Twitter and all that stuff, I think they're doing a good job of adjusting the recruiting period and the recruiting time period. I don't think everybody's just collectively saying, oh, that's it, move on to the next class, 2022, you're up. I don't think they're doing that. I think they're going to be a lot more conscious of the 2021 recruits during the seasons and right up into the seasons and even after the seasons. I think the whole recruiting timeline has shifted a little bit. So I think that's something you can be hopeful about, that they haven't, forgot about you. They haven't moved on. The coaches want to recruit just as much as the players want to be recruited. So I don't think they should lose hope on that front.
Okay. Dad, let's talk parenting.
Well, go ahead. Can I ask you a question? Because what I've been able to observe from a coaching standpoint, what have you found with your players? How are you guys keeping them positive?
Well, when it comes to college sports, it really depends on what state you're in, like regular else, right? We're officially in Brooklyn, so Brooklyn is in New York City is now moving into phase 2. They have outdoor dining, indoor, and stuff like that. A lot of our kids are Northeastern, East Coast kids, so the gyms aren't open for them. So a lot of the stuff they have to do is really on their own and to be creative with what they're doing. So the one thing we do is talk to them what's going on in life right now. Just hear and try to form these spaces for them to bond, get to know their teammates, stuff like that. Stuff that comes naturally, but we would be doing right now if we were on campus, but we're not, right?
Right.
So that's obviously something, but just trying to get them to know each other, get them to connect, do the best we can, because in August it's full go, for sure.
Right. Well, as a parent, I think I mentioned before is, especially the younger kids, I think, and Devin is mature enough, you're mature enough to really understand and just have candid conversations around, the virus and the COVID-19 and how important it is because a lot of kids just don't understand why they can't do certain things. Because they're watching TV, they're watching people do certain things, but they can't do certain things. But I think for me, what I've been trying to do, and I've always tried to do is, I try to set up a routine. That's what we're working on right now, just setting up a routine and try to normalize the situation as much as possible. And, Devin has done a pretty good job of adapting to it. But it's hard because you have a lot of time that you wouldn't normally have. I mean, if you really think about it, Devin, last year this time, we were full tilt boogie, man. We were just coming off of, 3 long recruiting trips, and now you're actually in full swing practice, right? Mm-hmm. And to answer your question about the juniors, seniors, that, psychologically, I think it's important that the parents really, because probably parents are probably going through a level of stress too, Faith, because they're worried about their kid getting recruited. Stress. So
we can, Dad, how do we, I mean, let's talk. You've been through 2 kids recruiting processes, right? 2 different kinds of recruiting processes because of 2 different sports. Tell us a little bit about how we can calm the anxiety a little bit, the stress and nerves for their kids getting recruited off of just film and word alone.
Well, it gets back to, remember our series, Making of a Champion? Because your kids are going to be what their parents are going to be. They're going to respond the way their parents are going to respond. And I think it's important for parents to understand that if they bring anxiety to the situation, they're going to bring anxiety to the kids. Yeah. And just try to keep it calm. Again, it gets back to, I think the one thing that really helped us, it gets back to let go, let God, and this kind of really just try to keep peace around it and be candid around it. But as a parent, you have a huge responsibility to make sure that your kids are going to be okay, make it that they're going to be safe. And then it's not going to be the end of the world if they can't play football this year. They can play football next year. I mean, a lot of them are still going to go to school. I mean, I think, they're going to have school no matter what, whether it's going to be virtually or not virtually. They're going to have school. So the kids will still be able to get their education. sports will come back. And I think as a parent, it's my role. I think the parent's role is to provide that peace haven for their kids.
Yeah, safe haven for sure. I can understand that. What are some ways parents can use this time period to educate themselves on the recruiting process, or where can they go to where did you go to learn some of the facts and rules and stuff and guidelines you needed for this time period or during your recruiting process with us?
Well, I learned a lot from your recruiting process. Your recruiting process, I was fortunate to have surrounded myself with a really a good culture with your AAU team and your college coach who had a history of successfully creating an environment where there were great basketball players. So that was the one thing for me, is to kind of step out of that lane and put somebody else in charge and just kind of sit back and have a level of humility and kind of learn from it and ask the right questions. Because again, it's not me getting recruited; it was you getting recruited. And for parents, like I said, it's getting back to that, our series, Making of a Champion. The parent's role is to not live vicariously through your kids, but then ask the questions. And I had a really good. We had Coach Tony Smith was wonderful because he was able to help me navigate not only understanding the recruiting process, but also understanding my role as a parent in the recruiting process. And it made it a lot easier when Devin was going through it, because I kind of knew that I just need to sit back, but be there as for support when you guys do need us.
And you guys also can look at the NCAA Eligibility Center, ncaa.org.com. Those have a lot of the stuff that you guys can use at that time period if you don't have that resource. Let's dive into something that's cool. Devin, last question to move on to some cool professional sports stuff. Will the future of youth sports change?
Will the future of youth sports change based off the virus? Oh.
Yeah.
I think that's all dependent upon whether they have a vaccine or not. But until then, obviously, I think like all other things, yeah, it will change. How and exactly how, I'm not completely sure. I'm thinking I think they'll follow the same guidelines to an extent of other youth of amateur and professional sports.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would say it would change in the way that maybe it's not as competitive. Maybe it's not as committed. A lot of youth sports, they make these big trips, like baseball teams and such, go down to Florida and play in these big tournaments, and I think that will definitely change.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be a lot more local and maybe not as competitive in that way. But yeah, it would definitely change.
I think that's a great point, Devin. Travel is a major thing. So let's dive into it. I'm going to share a quick video. We're not going to watch the whole thing because we're coming to our last 15 minutes of the show, but let's dive a little bit into professional sports.
NBA and NHL were both approaching their playoffs.
And NHL and NBA was almost in the middle of their postseasons, which is when their revenue is high because the ratings are high. Everything is more, active. So that hurts. And that's why they're trying to preserve something from those two leagues.
The NHL announced plans to resume its season in late May. But first, it issued a 22-page document entitled NHL Phased Return to Sport Protocol that placed stringent limitations on players, coaches, and organizations as a means of ensuring safety. Commissioner Gary Bettman said clubs would begin to open facilities so players could get back on the ice, although he did say that no training camps would begin before July 1st. NASCAR returned on May 17th at Darlington Raceway in South Carolina, but without fans and with stringent requirements for a significantly reduced pit crew. And the PGA Tour will resume its season June 8th through the 14th at Colonial Country Club in Texas.
Our players are are eager to return, excited to inspire this country, but also know that in announcing the schedule yesterday that we're going to do so in a safe and responsible way.
There will be no fans on the course. In fact, most leagues have talked about playing games without fans, at least initially.
They're trying to save some of that media revenue. And if they got to play games without fans, they'll take a hit to the gate revenue if it means preserving billions of dollars of media.
The NBA is planning a July 31st return date with games to be played in Orlando, Florida. The league would hold a short regular season for 22 teams, followed by a tournament that would allow it to crown a champion on or before October 12th. Meanwhile, Major League Baseball, which postponed the World Baseball Classic to 2023 and moved this year's Hall of Fame ceremony to next year, is also exploring options for its season. The owners met in May and reportedly proposed an 82-game season with an October postseason, which would include 14 teams. Teams would carry 30 players with a 20-player taxi squad of minor league athletes that would allow players to be ready if they're called up as an injury replacement. The union countered with its own proposal, according to ESPN, which would allow a 114-game season to begin on June 30th and end on Halloween. Playoffs and the World Series would be played in November, but the owners rejected the proposal and may unilaterally implement a 50-game season as a result. The two sides remain at an impasse over compensation, however, as owners have sought bigger pay cuts due to a lack of revenue from tickets and concessions. The league recently issued a 67-page safety manual that included such precautions as no high fives, masks in the dugout, and a change of baseballs when multiple players touch one. The plan also includes intake screening and frequent testing. Whatever they decide, baseball fans with season tickets are getting impatient. Two in New York recently sued Major League Baseball and its 30 teams, as well as Commissioner Rob Manfred. They want their money back and are trying to start a class action lawsuit to make it happen. The National Football League has been less impacted by the pandemic so far, and while it said it's confident there will be a 2020 season, the camps that occur before then are all in jeopardy. Still, the league went ahead with free agency and its April player draft, albeit virtually and without the usual crowds in the city where it takes place. People are so starved for sports that the draft drew record TV ratings for the first round, up 37% from last year. In spite of all of the uncertainty, demand for NFL tickets has been so strong, ticket prices have actually gone up. After the attacks on 9/11, professional sports leagues were forced to institute security measures to keep fans safe. Those measures included risk assessments, scalable security plans, communication protocols, and constant measurement of venue security programs. There must now be an equal effort towards health security measures.
You had to get accustomed to going through magnetometers to come into a sporting event like never before. In this case, you might have to subject yourself to a temperature scan or some other kind of health check initially.
Omega Family Office Chairman Leon Cooperman would go one step further.
I can see a year from today when they have a vaccine, if you want access to a sporting event or to a concert, you're going to basically have to have a vaccination card showing that you've been vaccinated against the virus and to get access to these events.
The Miami Dolphins became the first NFL team to reveal plans that would eventually allow fans to attend live games, albeit with a much smaller crowd. Miami's Hard Rock Stadium generally holds about 65,000 people. The Dolphins would cut that number to 15,000. Fans would socially distance from one another, be required to wear masks, and have to order food from concessions before going upstairs to pick up their orders. When the game's over, they would have to exit the stadium one row at a time. Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced in late May that Texas would allow fans to attend outdoor professional sporting events. Attendance would be capped at 25% of capacity, and leagues would have to receive approval from the Texas Department of State Health Services. But what if someone who comes to the game infects other fans? Conway says teams will be protected from liability in much the same way baseball teams or hockey teams warn about flying baseballs or pucks, with the language on the back of the ticket.
The ticket that you buy on the back has a liability clause in there that pretty much protects them from just about any, unless there's some negligence to do that. Again, you could see organizations adjusting that to allow for this kind of a scenario.
During a call with sports commissioners in April, President Trump reportedly said he believed the NFL season could start on time this fall. He reiterated that desire several weeks later.
When I look at a baseball game, I want to see people right next to each other. I don't want to see 4 seats in between every person so that the stadium becomes 25% of its original size. No, I want to see the NFL with a packed house. I don't want to see NFL with 3 seats in between people. No, I want to go back to where it was. That's where we're going to be.
But a recent survey from Seton Hall University found that fans don't necessarily agree, at least not yet. According to the poll, 72% of fans said they wouldn't attend a sporting event until coronavirus vaccines are developed. 12% said they would if social distancing could be maintained. Only 13% said they'd feel as safe attending as they did in the past. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti recently added that he didn't see sports happening in LA until at least 2021, although he didn't rule out a return without fans. But the final word may be left to the governors in each state. And if California is any indication, there's a good possibility the NFL won't start on time.
A well-known athlete just asked me, a football player, if he expects to come back. I said I would move very cautiously in that expectation. So, look, I'm not here to second-guess anybody, but I am here to say this. Our decision on that basis, at least here in the state of California, will be determined by the facts.
What it really comes down to is what makes owners, athletes, and fans comfortable. Will they feel better if there's a therapeutic treatment, or will they require a vaccine before they feel?
Dad, what you think?
Wow, that was a handful.
Well, I mean, okay. Is pro sports coming back? How does it affect our world? We need it to come back, right? Because I feel like pro sports is an example being set for the college sports to come, right? Basketball and football rely on how the NBA is about to handle their season as well as the WNBA. What do you think, Devin? I mean, do you think that pro sports coming back is a huge negative effect? If they don't come back, will it badly and negatively affect NCAA?
I think it'll be. I feel like if one organization comes back, it'll definitely put pressure on. Like if pro sports come back, the NCAA will definitely, feel the pressure to come back. I think it's kind of like a slippery slope type thing. If one league does it, then another league will do it. But I think that's the kind of impact it'll have. I think it'll just kind of put pressure on for other organizations.
Right. Dad, you're a professional athlete at the time. You're playing in the NBA, you're playing in the NFL. They tell you, okay, you're going to be in a bubble for 2 months, 2+ months. Are you going?
I'm going to go, but I'm going to make sure I understand the precautions. And for me, if they say, stay within the guidelines of between practices, you need to do this, do that. I'm going to follow that. I think that's probably the biggest challenge is it's a new normal. I think it can happen. It's going to be very difficult without fans, but I think if they slowly walk through this and gain momentum with safety, and hopefully, there's more and more confidence that it can be done. Like what Devin said, if this basketball thing with the bubble works, I think that's going to be huge. Now baseball is going to start playing. That's going to be huge. I think the next 30 days is going to be huge. It's going to be really key to how we progress. And of course, the big colleges, they're on their way. They're on their way, to making things happen. So I think it's just a matter of time. The next 30 days is going to really be key.
Right. And thank you, Greg, for tuning in. You brought up a great point. Let's talk about vaccine. It's a major debate amongst our country, and it's the right freedom of speech. You can't get the vaccine for some things. You get shots for your kids. Let's talk about a vaccine. People who don't want to get them. Okay? Athletes. Some athletes may not want to get them. Is it mandatory, and does that right go out the window when it comes to the coronavirus vaccine? Devin, what you think?
Well, I think a vaccine, especially in the early stages, the first vaccine to come out, I think we've seen historically, those aren't 100% safe. A lot of vaccines cause more problems than the actual virus sometimes, or illness or whatever the vaccine is for sometimes. We've seen a lot of complications with vaccines. But I think that's our safest bet at this point. I think when the vaccine does, or they do find a vaccine, that'll be the one thing that can really 100%, fix the situation. Personally, I would be a little cautious of it. I would, make sure it's 100%. They're not just, putting it out there because they want it to be over. I want to make sure it's 100% safe and all that. But I think everybody has, the right to whether they want to take or be injected with a vaccine or not. I feel like that's up to them.
I think they'll want their vaccine if they want to go see their Yankees play. What do you think, Dad? And that's the thing, okay, where's your vaccine card? Proof of vaccine. What do you think about that kind of pressure, Dad? You think it's good? You think it's bad? Does it kind of...
I'm just trying to figure out if there's a legal right to do that. Can the New York Yankees organization mandate that the only way that you can get in the stadium is on a card? There's going to be lawsuits. Right? You have a right whether you want to take a vaccine or not. Maybe because you don't take a vaccine, you sit over there.
Yeah.
And the people that have a vaccine sit over there,
How about we all just decide to watch the Yankees on TV if we want to? My biggest thing is that we have to put the liability on the ticket.
Right.
And that is the most American thing I've ever heard of, because people probably sue for flying balls and getting hit by pucks and to go to, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's funny that they have to put that in check for these games, for these events. And I think that this vaccine discussion will be very interesting, and I love that that video touched on it, because I do like the idea. I do like the proof of vaccination card, because right now way too many people have passed away from this pandemic, from this disease, this virus. And at this point, we are at the point where all things go because of the safety of our world, the safety of our people, and the future of generations. So if you want to watch your Yankees, but you don't want a vaccine, at the end of the day, watch it at home.
Right.
Let's talk NBA a little bit, Dad. Let's talk about NBA and WNBA. NBA and the WNBA are starting around the same time. But people don't know that because the WNBA. And we'll touch on WNBA a lot more on Friday, because we're going to go into how the racial movement and all the stuff that's going on, the social justice movement, is affecting our sports right now, especially NBA, WNBA, and NASCAR recently.
Say it about that.
Yeah, WNBA. A couple players are sitting out due to health reasons, whether they're diabetic or they have high chance for COVID-19 affecting them a lot more negatively than someone who does not have pre-existing conditions. The NBA, they're in a bubble, right? No one's allowed to leave, come in. No family members are in or out, right? 2 months around a bunch of men. Let's really break down. This is something we have not seen before. Dad, let's talk about it. Is money in this worth it? Obviously, it's easy if you're LeBron James, but for these kids who are younger, who need the money, need these opportunities, what do you think? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think they're under pressure. This is a lifelong dream. They're going to play. Compared to a player who really don't need the money. We need sport, and I think again, like I said before, Faith, Devin, these next 30 days, a lot of answers will be questions will be answered.
Yeah,
because we'll have results.
Yeah, we will. It's going to be interesting, and like I told Devin, I said I'm very intrigued as a college coach to see how this works out, because I want it to work out, because college athletics are taking a lot of pay cuts right now. Final question. Are you ready? Due to the pandemic, sports has been off TV, but some interesting sports have popped up on ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN3, ESPN all, whatever. What is your favorite sport that you've seen so far? Quick go. Come on.
Rerun.
What did you say, Devin?
I thought the cornhole, the beanbag toss professional was very, very interesting, because they really don't miss. They hit it every time. It's actually very interesting. how accurate they are.
Yeah, my favorite the other day was I saw a stair climbing competition. They put the stairs like it was a kids competition, kids do it only, and the stairs are like greased up, right? And the kids run soft stairs, obviously. They'll knock each other down, or some kids will split, or they'll get to the very top and they have to ring a bell. Funny Stanford. What about you, Dan?
I like the horse that they did early on, the virtual horse games. Yeah.
Okay, well, today was fun. Joining us this wonderful Wednesday morning. We're so thankful for those of you who stopped by and discussed with us in this series. Let Go, Let God was a fun series. We're going to take it a little bit through this, but of course, you guys don't forget our new slogan. But we want to thank everyone, which is Amazon Fire, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Apple TV, and most importantly, out of Phoenix, Arizona, E360 TV. Again, this is Faith Family Focus, where we want to use our faith as a vehicle to help heal and sustain others on their path to strengthen the family full core. And again, let go, let God, let go, let faith, let go, let love. Everyone have a great, great Wednesday. We'll see you on Friday.